All right, guys, good afternoon. Things have been, relatively rainy here lately, but I wanted to catch you up on what I've been doing in between the clouds, and that is assembling the mill itself. So I had a little workstation set up over here, which worked great up on the log rack there, and then really just kind of putting everything together. I've read multiple places, and I would tend to agree with them that the directions are pretty good, but there are sections that just are not explained, and you definitely have to have a little bit of common sense on some things, in that you kind of got to figure things out for yourself, and that's just kind of how it is. This is a different model basically than what some of the manual actually talks about. So, some things don't line up. That's fine. I mean, you put enough nuts and bolts on something, it's going to hold. So we're pretty excited to have this thing completely assembled and ready to go. I've already had it running. Now I went and got the Honda engine with it, so I'm not going to have any issues here with the engine. It may be slightly underpowered. Some folks will want definitely a more powerful engine, but I think based on what I'm going to be cutting, I don't think I need anything more than that, and I'm really in no rush, so I can just kind of work my way through the material in a manner in which the engine can handle it. So I'd rather go with reliability than power on this one. That may change over time, but if somewhere down the line, if I need to throw on a bigger engine, I'll throw on a bigger engine. But right now, this is exactly what I'm looking for. So I got the covers, the front covers that go over the band wheels and stuff here. So everything's good to go now as far as the cutting head and everything like that. It's the track now that has to be leveled and trued up, and I'm just literally just waiting for the concrete to cure a little more. It's only been this is day 8 after the pour, so I'm going to wait a couple more days before I drill into it. And it honestly might be tomorrow. I think tomorrow's weather is going to be fairly decent as well. So yeah, I think we might, and I don't know. We'll see. Like I was saying, now that the saw head and everything is all put together, and I'm just waiting to true and plumb the track, level the track, I'm going to start kind of knocking other little things out that kind of come along with this. I've got to get some larger timber lock screws for the log deck itself, so I have to get that secured. I need to pick up a pressure washer to clean the logs. So it's probably going to be 4 or 5 days before I turn this thing on and get my first cut with it. And that's just about that. That's all that this is really going to be covered here with the mill itself. It just took a couple days to kind of putting things together, and then kind of struggling around with the rain and things like that. So it was a little bit of a pain in the butt at times with the rain covering things up, and coming out, getting back out here and getting to work. So looking down at the table, I've only got a few kind of nuts and bolts and things left over. So I mean, they did a pretty good job of supplying all the hardware I needed. I don't think I was actually missing anything. Check that, I was missing one thing, and I can talk about that. So on these log stops here, there is a black handle that actually locks this down to keep this from, keeps it at the height you need it. Okay, what I did not receive these black handles. There's 2 of them that I needed. What I actually got 3 of these orange handled ones. The length of this threaded section here was not long enough to actually engage the post as I was trying to stop it. So I sent them an email, and they said, hey, look for the black handles. And I said, I've looked through everything. I don't have black handles. I have orange handles. I have 3 of them. And they said, okay, well, we'll send you some black handles. And wouldn't you know it, I've gone through everything here and I still have 3 orange handles left. So everything comes in these designated bags and things like that. Now I don't know if I got a bag that wasn't intended for this mill, or if it's just change of design. I didn't get caught up on it. So I've got that's one of the few things that's kind of left over there. Like I said, just a couple nuts and bolts. These are actually going to go on the rails, and a couple, there's a log dog assembly here, and just a couple bolts. So it all went well. I didn't put on the safety triggers for the covers of the band wheels and things like that. It's just another electronic thing I don't have to worry about now. And then there's some tubing left over from the automatic watering kit, stuff like that. So yeah, all in all, real good. But those black handled screw thingies, technical term, those were the only things I was missing. And they got them out to me in like 2 or 3 days. They were great about it. So no complaints in that department. All right, guys, I'm going to start cleaning up out here. I got to put all my tools away. I didn't really need actually a whole lot of tools. There was a lot of just nuts and like carriage bolts and things like that. So once I get out here and start to level the track, level and true the track, I'm going to, once that'll be done, everything will be ready to go, at least as far as the mill goes. And the only thing we'll be waiting on really is me at that point, in that, like I said, I got to pressure wash them. I got to screw down all my logs here on the log rack and stuff like that. So all in all, it's a great project to get done. I was hoping to actually be done with milling at this point, so I'm about a month behind as far as that goes. So once we get into the logs and stuff, we're going to see how quickly we can get through it. I've already got a plan where I'm going to stack the lumber and let it dry a little bit before I actually get down and put it on the buildings. I've also got, you know, as you've seen, I've got stuff I can do on cabin 2 as well to kind of waste more time, let that lumber dry. So yeah, things are kind of lined up pretty nice now. It's just a matter of acting on it. So all right, let me get cleaned up and we'll talk to you guys later. All right, guys, well, it's now Wednesday here, Wednesday afternoon, just about wrapping it up for the day. And I spent the morning bolting down the wood. Let's see if I can get in here for you. Drilling the holes into the concrete and then putting the threaded rod in and then bolting it all down. So everything is now bolted. So I did that in the morning. Then in the afternoon I came in and I bolted down the actual legs. Come on, swing over here. Bolted down the actual legs right there. Little lag bolts into the wood itself. So this frame itself right now, I mean, I can't shake it. It is solid as all get out. So just did that, and then I finished that, and I got everything bolted in and solid, which means at that point I wanted to go ahead and level and true the track and the bunks, level the bunks and everything like that. So I broke out the laser and just went along and squared everything up. It went very well. I started down here at the I don't know what you would call this end, the starting end, sure, and then worked my way this way. But when I got down to the end here, I needed to go down another about 1/8 of an inch, and I was already bottomed out on the screw there at the bottom. So I left that, so I restarted. I started down here at the finish end, and then I worked my way back up. So as this one was sitting down, just about bottomed out as low as it could go, I only had a slight rise to get back up to where it was going. In fact, the largest I had to come up was 1/8 of an inch. So I've still got plenty of space on those legs to move but like I said, this thing is bolted down solid now. It's not going anywhere. So another thing I finished up yesterday, I finished up my logs here that actually go, let's see if I can get in here. Yeah, these 4x4s, I cut slots into these telephone poles here. So now these 4x4s, let me throw one up here for you so you can see kind of how this is gonna work. Okay, this is the best with one hand. Okay, so my math was a bit off. This actually sits down a little bit for, there you go. Okay, so I have just on this end here, it's just kind of a cutout of where that sits on there. And then down here it sits within that little notch I cut. So my measurement was off. I did not account for the space left above this notch. So even though this is higher than the track, because I had that space, or I should say that wood, on top of the track, my measurements weren't accurate. So basically, if I can probably show you here, it slopes up a little bit. So not perfect, but you know what? The logs are going to get over to the track. So it's not a big rise. I mean, it may be, well, it's probably the thickness of that wood that's up there. So it's about 2 inches maybe from down here up to there, and then off the edge onto the track itself. So they're both like that because they're both pretty accurate as far as how they were, the rack was actually constructed. So if that's the worst that happens here with all this, and this is ready to go for logs, you know, I'll take it. I'll take that as a win. But this is, you can see some of the mold and everything on this. This is one of the 4x4s that had been sitting down down there near cabin 2. It's been all kind of covered up, exposed, wet, dried. It's just nasty. So I needed some scrap, and this is going to work perfect. So as I roll the logs across, they'll get on there, and then I'll pick these up or just fold them back. Just don't want them falling on me. So yeah, so that's where we're at. Things are going good. I got to cover everything up tonight, at least the sawmill head and everything. We're going to get some rain tomorrow. I don't think I'll be out here. You know, it just depends on the weather. But yeah, so things still on my list. Pressure washer to clean my logs. And I've got to get the pipe that is going to be connected to my winch. I've got to get that welded. So I might have to get that done as well. All right, guys, hang in there. We're about to make some sawdust.